Hello, hello, you early birds. Welcome. I am going to try to share this into our Facebook group. Super glad to see you here tonight. Why don't you go ahead and tell us where you're from? Where are you chiming into? Type it in the chat, or if you want to open your mic, go ahead. And we're trying to get this live in the Facebook group at the same time. You guys are special because you get to ask questions and interact here, but we do want to stream it over there for those who happen to hop in at the last minute or couldn't find the link. So hopefully that will work here. Give it just a second. Tulsa, Oklahoma. Woohoo! I have friends there. And Illinois, welcome. If you didn't find the chat is down at the bottom of your screen. It should be, unless if you're on a cell phone, I'm not sure where it's going to be. Things get turned around sometimes if you're on that. But on your desktop, at the bottom of your Zoom screen, you should be able to see a chat. And this is not loading into the Facebook group, so they may not get us tonight. Don't know what the problem is. Sometimes it works wonderful and sometimes it doesn't. So we won't waste a lot of time there. But, all right, so Hope from Illinois, Cherry from Tulsa. Patricia, where are you calling in? Oh, her audio is still connecting. Where are you calling in from, honey? And Crystal, New Zealand, you caught us up late again, or up early tomorrow morning already. Sandra, where you want to let us know where you? Yay, Crystal! Awesome. Dee is here. Wonderful. Can everybody hear me? Okay. Yeah. Okay, great. Wonderful. We're still a little bit early. Can hear me fine. Great. Now, if you came with a question hot on your mind tonight, please type it in the chat because we want to be sure that you leave with questions answered. If we don't put more of them in your head before we're done. Don't want anybody to miss out on getting those questions answered tonight. And the Facebook thing is not going live, so they may not get us live tonight. We'll just have to figure that out later. I'm not gonna lose sleep over it right now. It is hot here in Mexico today. It is very, very, very hot and muggy. We're getting ready for the rainy season. And my husband's been up on the roof making sure all of our mini splits are connected and got the power going in the right direction so we don't get maxed out. Here in Mexico, if you go over a certain number of kilowatts in a month, they like jack their rates up to where it was like 3 times as much per kilowatt than if you stayed under that limit. It's really weird. So we actually have 2 separate meters on our property, one for the apartment out back and one for up here, which the apartment is not done yet. And so we're running one of our air conditioners out through that meter to try to keep both of our bills down under that rate. So Sandra from Ohio, wonderful. And Kay is tuning in, great. All right, so my clock says 6 o'clock Eastern time, so we're gonna go ahead and get started. And I like to start on time as much as possible and end on time, or at least let people know they're free to go if we end up going over for the sake of a few, right? But Danita's here too from Oklahoma, great. And Stephen logging in, wonderful. Okay, so tonight, just to quickly recap, we went over a lot of mindset stuff last night. Does anybody have a takeaway or anything big that you walked away with last night in terms of the way that you think about what you have to offer to the world? Anybody want to, I'll just open up the floor. If you want to unmute and share something that stood out to you, something you learned particularly. If you want to type it in the chat, I'm happy to read that. Hope says, it's always about serving. Yep, that's right. That's right. And the cool thing about that is that when it's about serving, you don't feel so awkward in offering it to people. Because like, who doesn't want a piece of chocolate cake, right? And so when this is all about giving as much chocolate cake as I can give, then I don't have to feel weird about offering it to people, right? When I was a waitress back high school days, we had to always offer dessert. You had to always ask, right? You weren't doing your job if you didn't ask them if they wanted dessert. And once we started our own business, I had someone say, when you don't offer what you can do for people, it's like that waitress not doing her job and not asking if they want dessert, right? And it's not on you if they want it or not. It has absolutely nothing to do with the waitress. There's no reflection on her personally or emotionally if they decline dessert, right? But it's her job to offer. And so what you bring to the table and what you have to offer to people, it's your job to offer it to them. And it's not on you if they don't take it, right? It's not the right time. They don't have the budget for dessert tonight. They're watching their waistline, whatever it is. Like, it's not on you. It's no reflection on you at all, but it's your job to offer, right? And the other thing that I learned that had to do with that, and this was totally unplanned. I don't know. I just get off on this rabbit trail. I'm sorry. We'll get back to it in a second. But the other thing that I learned in connection to that is that my job description is not who I am. My job description is who I serve, right? So if I'm a pastor, like I have been a pastor's wife, I have been a missionary's wife, same guy, don't worry. But in those different capacities, right? I have had those titles, but that's not who I am. I'm not Katie, the pastor's wife, or Katie, the missionary, or Katie, the homeschool teacher, or Katie, the curriculum, right? Like, that's who I serve in that certain time of my life, in that season of my life. But that's not who I am. It has no value description over me. And so when we recognize that, that also gives us freedom to embrace the people that we were called to serve. Recognizing that this title is not me. This title is who I serve at the moment. So anyway, who else has got a takeaway to share from last night? I just took that away and kept talking. Anybody got something you wanted, something you learned, something that stood out, something that you've been mulling over?
Okay, Katie, so I have a question. Thinking about the whole mindset thing from last night. So one of the things I'm just really trying to figure out is a little bit how to determine my niche and whether I need to niche down a little bit or not when it comes to offering products. So I talk about budgeting, I talk about saving money, but my whole emphasis is how to do this with a spirit of joy and abundance. And so I talk a lot about raising kids on an income which is less than average. And so consequently, like, I have one product that helps people figure out how to budget. I have another one that helps them save on utilities. And then I have one that almost seems out in left field that teaches them how to teach their children a biblical view of money. And to me, it kind of makes sense, but I almost wonder if people aren't confused about who I am and what I'm doing.
Yeah, that's a hard one because we are, God has invested so much in us. There's a lot, most of us would say, I'm good at multiple things, or I could teach multiple things, right? I know in my own life, like, we had 24 online courses, you guys, at one point, all on sale, all at the same time, all on different topics. And I came to realize that by having this smorgasbord available, I was not being known as the go-to person for anything, right? And that wasn't helping me reach more people. And so when I pared that down, sometimes it's what do I enjoy the most, right? Sometimes it's what will make the biggest impact. Sometimes it's what do my people need. Sometimes it's seasonal. Sometimes I go with one for a seat. I can do it all, but I cannot do it all well at all the same time. Does that make sense? So sometimes it's that. And so when I pared it down and said, okay, we've created 8 levels of homeschool curriculum. I've created 24 online courses. I've helped other people create courses and helped other people write books and helped other, that's obviously where I have some gifting. Let's go with that and let's focus on that. And so we pared it down to doing business with God is one of our courses that we offer a couple times a year. This Successful Online Courses program, and then our membership trainings, the Legacy Builders training, which used to be the Blog Connection, and then the Queen's Mastermind or higher level. So we pared it down to 2 courses a year that we offer maybe once or twice a year, and then those masterminds and membership programs, right? So within those, I can bring in those other pieces as my people need them. But I'm becoming known as the business coach, the course, like the curriculum developer expert. Does that make sense? Yeah, so I'm not sure I have an answer for that, but in terms of the mindset, you know, when God gives you a good door and a good door, like ultimately you just get to pick. He's not going to let you go wrong if you're really looking for what he wants you to do. And if you start going through one and that's not where he wants, he'll turn the car around. You know, he'll show you, he'll make it obvious.
Yeah, that's just what you just said. That's just like perfect to me, because I've had open doors to talk about each of these different areas and an interest in each of the different areas. And so maybe it's not necessary at this point for me to say,
right.
This
yeah.
Is, I'm
and
not
the cool thing about being a believer in business is that people hire you or people pay you to do business type stuff, and then you end up getting to talk God all the way through it, right?
Right.
Like,
so it's all ministry. It doesn't matter what you're talking about. It
becomes
just
more for ministry in many cases, right? I mean, I have had some of the best witnessing opportunities when I was at secular conferences, you know, and doors opening and conversations and things that just would have never happened if I had said, no, I'm a little missionary over here just doing my ministry thing, right? But because I am in business, and because I'm not ashamed to walk my faith out in my business and not ashamed to talk about Jesus when it comes up, right? Then the Lord just opens up so many more doors. And so I think I can't answer that for you, but I think you've got some good food for thought there. And I know that the Holy Spirit will show you how to make that right decision.
Thanks.
So, all right, wonderful. I'm so glad that you all are back for round 2. I want to just jump in again and get us on the right path tonight with this little video that we showed last night. This message is so powerful, you guys, and I want it to sink in. So
these are challenging times. The landscape of online business and even business as we know it is changing. Things may never be as they were just a few short weeks ago, but the silver lining I see is that every challenge holds within it the seeds of opportunity. I'm Katie Horner, and I've been through crisis before. In fact, I started my online business just after the economy crashed in 2010. And just like many today, we had nothing and had to start a business to survive. First you survive, and then you thrive. And since our business took off in 2014, I've been teaching others to create a business online like we did. We have created a full 8 grade level homeschool curriculum and over 24 online business courses. We've served over 7,000 students in the last few years. I truly believe there is no better time than in the crisis to lean into the opportunity of the hardship and share your genius with the world that is restless for change and desperate for hope. Over the next week, I'm going to teach you to get your message to the world. Welcome to the Pivot edition of Successful Online Courses, because the time to teach your genius to others is now.
all right, the time is now. How many of you took that little blurb that I shared last night and went and shared it on your social media somewhere? Did anybody do that? Teresa, did you have a response?
Yeah, I didn't share it on social media, I guess. I shared it in another avenue with a group of friends. And I got responses pretty immediately of what they thought, you know, I would be good at teaching or a course. So
Did it surprise you?
Not really. The things that they had said were things that I knew. I just don't know how to do it.
Okay.
Online.
Okay, great. Awesome.
So,
well, we can figure that out, right?
okay.
Once we know the what, we can figure out the how together. That's awesome.
Okay.
Who
Thanks.
else? Yeah, you're welcome. Did anybody else do it and share that and get some responses? No? Nobody took Next Step Net and all right, you guys got some work to do, or else maybe you just already know what your course is supposed to be about.
I'm sorry, Katie. I did. I
Denise did, yay!
shared it on Facebook. I was not the least bit surprised at some of the answers that I got, but I'm going to have to get really creative about how I teach the subjects that they want to learn about. So it should be quite the adventure.
Awesome. Adventure is good. Crystal, did you have something?
I just want to sound, this is also new to me, so I want to get my head around it before I share anything.
Okay, that's fine. I understand that. That's awesome. But it got you thinking, I hope, right? What are people saying that I know how to do? Or what things do people ask me a lot how to do?
Yeah.
And let's see, Emmy and Jim in the chat, would you share in more than one place, like on personal and business pages? Sure, you can share. Cherry said she shared, but nobody responded. Maybe try asking it a different way. You know, we put a couple of different ways to ask that question. Maybe ask, see if you can reword it a different way and ask, or ask in a group. If you're in some groups of friends or something like that, ask your kids. If you got kids, or you got nieces and nephews that spend time with you or something like that, kids at church that are around you, ask them and see what they say. Kids are very astute. You would be surprised sometimes at the things that they pick up on, and you're like, oh, I never thought I was good at that, but maybe I am, you know? So, yeah. Kathy says, I asked some people personally, nothing new, but affirming. Good. That's a good feeling, right? So last night I said, people needed your message 2 months ago. They need it even more now, right? And tonight, we're 24 hours into the future. They need it even more now. Your message matters. And I'm going to say that till the cows come home, because it's truth, right? You were put here for a reason. You're created in the image of God. You were gifted specifically for the work that he has cut you out to do. And he's put in your hands everything you need to do, right? In scripture, it says, you have what you need. You have everything you need for life and godliness. That includes your message. That includes the words he puts in your mouth. That includes the things that you know how to do and how to teach people. And it includes this class. This class has been put into your hands for just such a time as this, because the time is now when you need to take action. Like Next Step Ned, our little ducky, says, take some action and start getting that message out there. You can do it for free on social media, just like some of you put that out there last night. That's a step in the right direction. How can I help you? How can I serve other people? How can I take what God has given me and use it to impact others for the kingdom, right? That's what this is all about. So last night we talked about that opportunity and the fact that we can take so many different niches and put it online, right? The gardening, people are teaching gardening. People are teaching sewing. People are teaching, they're coaching and counseling. They're teaching home ec. They're teaching mechanics. There's like all these different niches, everything that you can imagine. For years and years and years, we've been taught there are certain jobs you can't do online. You can only do from the physical location at this building, at this whatever, right? And now all of a sudden, everyone's having to think outside the box and figure out, how do I do this long distance? How do I do this from home? How do I do this online, right? Hairstylists are having to learn how to teach other people how to cut their own hair, because we can't go out and meet with more than 5 people in a room anymore, right? And so whatever it is that is your gifting, whatever it is that you could teach someone and make their life better or easier, or make things faster, or make things simpler, or encourage or lower anxiety, right? All of those things are things that need to be on the market right now, because more than ever, people need your message. And so I hope that came through loud and clear last night. If not, I hope I just cleared it up again. That's what this is all about. God has gifted you with a message, and it's time for you to do something with it. And you may be feeling stuck. We walked through that whole, what if somebody else is doing it? Who cares? Your gifting is different. There are different people out there waiting for you. We walked through the whole, I don't know if people will pay for it. And we said, you know what? God's in charge of the results. You get your mind out of their pocketbook and you start thinking about how you can serve, and you let God take care of whether or not they can afford that right now, right? This is not about, can I offer them something that I think they can pay for? This is, can I do what God has created me to do? And he will bring the people into your life that will take you up on that, because there are people who need what you have to offer. We talked about, I don't know how to do this. Well, look at all the people in this room right here that God has just introduced you to that have different giftings and different abilities who can help you along the way, right? And in our Successful Online Courses program and in our memberships, the community is one of the biggest aspects, because I don't know how to do everything and I'm the leader, right? But I can go to Kathy, or I can go to Brenda, or I can go to Julie, and I can say, I think she knows how to do that. You need to ask her that question because she's better than I am, right? And so inside of a community, you have that support and that perspective and those experiences of multiple people to come along beside you and help you do this thing. 1 Thessalonians 5:24, faithful is he that's called you, who also will do it. He's called you. He's asking you to do it so he can ultimately do it through you. And part of the way he does that is by surrounding you with the people who can help fill in those gaps of what you need. So I tell my people, and this, it sounds, if you don't know my heart, please don't let this offend you, but you got to get over yourself. This is not about you. It's about the people God's called you to serve, right? And I say that with all the love in my heart. But so we get so hung up on me and what are they going to say about me and who are they going to compare me to and all this stuff, that we forget about the people out there who are waiting for us to give them that message. They're waiting for us to help them take that next step. They're waiting for us to say, I believe in you. You can do this, because somebody out there needs what you can do, right? And so that's where we are right now. Tonight, I promised you that we were going to go through the 3 different formats of an online course. And I'll make it really simple for you, okay? And then there's one particular way that you can get your course out almost immediately that takes absolutely, well, almost zero tech, okay? You all have a cell phone, I hope, and that technically is tech. But I'm gonna walk you through that. So there's 3 different main formats for courses, and I'm gonna share my screen. And again, if you've got questions, please put them in the chat as we go through, because I want to be sure that nobody leaves without getting their question answered tonight. There are no dumb questions. We are going to get them answered. All right, so here we have Next Step Net again over on the side. 3 main course formats. And again, I'll have these slides in the Facebook group later if you need them, or if you want to take notes, that would be great too. 3 main course formats. You have challenges, you have a do-it-yourself, what we call DIY, and then we have a do-it-with-you, okay, DIWY. Those are tongue twisters, but those are the 3 basic formats. Every course that you see out there is going to be one of these kinds of courses. And you can get extremely complicated on all levels, or you can go really simple on all levels, but there are some things that differentiate, and there are definite pros and cons to each of them. And so as you think about this, there's things that you want to take into consideration, your ability, right? The tech and whatever you have available to you, your assets, we call them in business. What are the assets that I have access to? Things like a cell phone or a computer or a website, or is it just my Gmail, or do I actually have an email system like ConvertKit where I can collect multiple emails? Like I said, you can get as complicated as you want, but you want to just kind of be thinking about the things that you have access to as you're going into this. And then you think about the tech of your people, right? Whoever this course is for, what's going to help them the most? Because you can have a fancy schmancy course, but if it's too complicated for people to even log into, like, they're not going to do it. They're not going to get the transformation because they can't figure out how to log in, right? And so you've got to take all these different things into consideration when you try to figure out which of these formats is going to work best for my people. You also want to think free versus paid, okay? And the big distinction. Why would I want to offer a free course? Well, maybe I want to test my idea. Maybe I want to just get some feedback on something that I'm thinking about. And so maybe I'll do like a little short mini course on something. That's completely okay, as long as you've got a legitimate reason for that. I don't want you saying, well, I don't think anybody's going to buy it, so I'm just going to give it away for free. That's not a good reason, right? But if you've got a legitimate reason to bless their socks off in a time of need, or to gather information in a course setting or something like that, then it's great to offer free. Maybe you're going to use a mini course as the freebie that pulls them into your world, so that then you can help them go deeper in your paid course as the second step, right? So lots of different reasons. Paid, obviously, people value what they pay for, right? Think about the dishes in your kitchen right now. Which one are you more protective of? Grandma's china that came from England and has been passed down 3 generations, or that ceramic cup that your daughter bought you for Valentine's Day, right? So we tend to value the things that are valuable. And so the things that they will pay more attention when they pay for something. And so sometimes just the fact that this can make such a huge transformation in their life demands that I give it a price tag so that they understand the value in it. Okay? So then let's go into the 3 different kinds. We got the challenges, the DIY, and the do it with you. Okay? Challenges tend to be like a 5-day, a 10-day, a 30-day thing. And usually when you do a challenge, you're going to have one problem and one solution. And so you're working them step by step through this problem to get to that solution, just like any course. We said that last night. That's the main thing we do in a course, is go from A to B, the simplest path to get them to that transformation, right? Solution is what we want, solution to this problem. However, when you get to the end of your challenge, you want that to have awakened in them the realization of another problem that they have, so that you can help them in your next step. If it's a class, if it's a coaching, if it's a book, whatever it is that comes after that challenge, you want to be able to not just leave them hanging. It's like when if you end a recital piece on that wrong note, right? Everybody's left kind of like, they're waiting for that to resolve to that harmony. And so at the end of your challenge, you want to leave them sort of in this spot, because now they realize they've got another problem that needs help, and you want to have that help solution. So in a challenge, you're working through that. So maybe the challenge is 5 days to organize your pantry. Okay. Well, now that you've organized your pantry, what about your pots and pans? What about all that Tupperware? What, like there's another step here that needs to be handled, right? Maybe you create a menu plan for a week. And now I know I can do it for a week, but I don't want to eat that same menu every week after week after week. Like, I need some variety in my life. And so now maybe the next step is a menu planning course for the month, right? So think about that. I'm solving a problem, but I also want to awaken in them the realization that there's another problem that needs to be solved at the end of this, so that I can take them further. It's transformation based. It is incremental action steps, small wins, okay? Like what I gave you last night was a small win. I'll just use my own example. When I said, go and post this on your Facebook page and let people start responding and telling you what they think you're good at teaching. Those of you who did that felt really good, didn't it? Right? And it's really cool to get some feedback and say, oh yeah, they did recognize I have that ability. That's human. That's okay. It's good. And that's what you want for your people. You want them to feel that small win, like, oh yeah, I can do this. Okay. So in a challenge, you're looking for those small wins. You're taking them in incremental steps from A to B, so that each day, each part of that challenge is a little win to get them closer to that transformation. Incidentally, when you do a larger course, this is what you're doing inside every module as well. Okay, every module is sort of like its own little mini challenge. You're going from A to B on a big scale, but inside of that, you may have 3 smaller A to Bs that take them step by step to those smaller steps inside of that transformation. But challenges, often you will see them with Facebook groups or with emails. Okay, so sign up here and then come join my Facebook group, and we're going to do kind of like I did with this. This is not a challenge necessarily, but it's like, come on into the Facebook group. We're going to do the Q&A. We're going to do the teaching there, right? And so a lot of times challenges have that Facebook group because they're wanting that engagement. So pros and cons of a challenge. The pros are there's a ton of excitement. There's a lot of engagement. There's usually people showing what they've done or reporting in, or, you know, getting excited about those wins and sharing and encouraging each other. It's usually fast action, right? Because they're those quick wins, those action steps every day that we can give them. It usually has a live and interactive aspect to it. So people who tend to be a little more introverted are going to struggle with this, right? They're not going to necessarily want to be going on into the Facebook group and posting selfies of what they did today or whatever. So this is where you're going to have to think about all the people, you know, are the people that I'm reaching a mix of introverts and extroverts? Or, you know, how can I get everybody involved? But anyway, challenges tend to be that high energy environment. And it's kind of like a pep rally from high school, right? We're getting all pepped up, ready for the game. And that's the way you would want to think of a challenge, is getting them excited for that next step. The pros of this is that challenges can be a lot of work. It is very interactive, and it is very, the cons, sorry, I'm not sure what I said there. The pros of this, we went through the pros. The cons of this is that it's a lot of work, okay? So the downside is that you generally want to have this all really well planned out in advance, because these challenges can get so exciting and so engaging and so, like, everybody gets so worked up and excited about it. You can have tons and tons and tons of comments and things to keep up with, and answers to questions, and like, it can go really, really fast once people get in there and get excited about it. And you don't have time to prep tomorrow's content because you're still dealing with all their excitement from today. So you have to, it's a lot of work because you got to get it all ready in advance. There's usually an email reminders perhaps that would, in case they're not seeing the Facebook notifications, or in case they haven't joined the Facebook group yet, you know, to remind them this is happening, come on in, come back, go, you know. It's a lot of time involved in this. And so here again, a challenge, if you're going to put that much work into it and that much time into it, it's my personal opinion that you should probably be charging something, okay? And again, to get them to value it and to get them to want to get involved, as opposed to just, oh yeah, I signed up for that and now she's sending me an email every day. Good grief, you know? Like, if they pay for it, they're expecting something and they're excited to get that email and go engage. So anyway, so that's the challenge. Now, the next one, oh, and here's my ducky. Okay, this is Do It Now, Natalie. And Do It Now, Natalie, well, her voice, her name says it all, right? Do it now. What are you waiting for? Let's get in there and do it. A do-it-yourself course is for this kind of people. Do-it-yourself is for the people who sign up and they want it all, and they want to be able to skim through it all and see it all and jump in wherever they think they need it and get it done and on to the next thing. They want a quick, usually a quick solution to their problem, right? And again, your course should be the simplest step from A to transformation. And so these people, like, they want it done. So this one would have your content prepped in advance. Generally, it's on a course software platform with a login or something like that, right? And it's something where you would sell it, they buy it, they log in, they get all their content, and they go through it at their own pace, and you don't have to be involved. Okay? So for people wanting like recurring revenue, for people wanting quick wins, for people wanting like, how do I get carrots to grow in the summer in Arizona? You know, something really, really specific like that. It's a short, quick teaching thing. A DIY course is perfect because they don't need you to handhold them through going out to plant their carrot seeds in Arizona in the middle of the summer, right? They just need the information and the steps, and they can do it themselves. Okay, so do it yourself tends to lend itself to those sorts of things. It's very easy for them to get the result as long as they can follow those step by step. And this is something that is usually very transformation oriented. If you do these steps, 4 + 4 is always 8. If you do this, you will get this. And they buy it and they do it and they're done, and you don't have to be involved. Okay? Now, those are the pros, right? All the content is done in advance. That means you taught it one time, and you can sell it over and over and over and over and over again without any more of your time going into that, right? It's on a course software platform. So unless there's huge issues or the software, like the company's website goes down, like you don't usually have to bother with the tech once you get it up there. There's no babysitting, there's no evaluation, there's no live anything, right? You just, here it is, go do it. And so that is really, really good if your topic and your transformation is on that thing. Now, the downside of this, the cons for do-it-yourself, is that there is no interaction, all right? And when you think about the courses that have impacted your life the most, you're probably thinking about a person, not a course, okay? When you think back to your elementary school, what do you remember from elementary school? Most of us remember the teachers, not the books, right? Or we remember the experiences, not the lesson, okay? And so this is true even in online courses, even if you're teaching online courses to adults or seniors, okay? They're going to remember a person. And a do-it-yourself class where you are not involved at all, you're not having as big of a personal impact as you could have, okay? And now that's not necessarily a bad thing if that's the message and that's the way God is asking you to impact people. I'm not saying it's not impactful. I'm just saying it's not going to be as impactful perhaps as that person-to-person interaction, okay? There's no relationship there. There's not anything that makes them like, oh yeah, I learned how to do that, but I don't remember who taught it, right? And so depending on your goals for your impact and thing, this may or may not be the right fit for you. But it's a really, really good choice for those quick how-to type classes that don't need hand-holding. All right. Okay, so here again, do it with you. This is sort of a hybrid of the others. This one, you're probably going to have content done in advance, or else like you're going to do calls like this where you're teaching something live, okay? You're probably going to have it on a course software platform, unless you're going to have all of your content taught live like this, in which case you just need a free Zoom account, like I have, okay? A do it with you is going to be very dependent on the instructor because there are pieces that they need your help with, hence the name, do it with you, right? Some of it they're going to do on their own. Some of it they're going to do with you. So again, using my own example, Successful Online Courses program, we have content in the course for you. We have a course software platform where you go and log in and you look at module 1, lesson 1, and there's a video and there's a download if you want it, you know, and it walks you through those steps. But then there's also times where I go live with my students and I coach them through what that last lesson just talked about. All right, and I answered their specific questions about where they're stuck with their content. Does that make sense? And so this one involves more of my time. These types of courses are going to automatically have higher price tags because it is more of your time. A do-it-yourself course you teach once and you can sell to multiple people multiple times for the rest of your life, all the way through your grandkids and your great-grandkids' lives, right? Because it doesn't involve you. Do it with you involves your time. And so you've got to be able to put that into your calendar, and it's spending, you're spending more of your you time with those people. It also can involve a dripped content where you specifically want them to master this skill before we move on to this one. So you're not releasing all your content necessarily at the front end and they go through it on their own, because then you get people who are fast and they are already in number 5, but they didn't get the good foundation from number 2 because they thought they knew it all and they skipped ahead. And everybody else is in module 3 and they're asking questions about 5, but they don't have the content they were supposed to get from, and it just gets confusing, right? So these kinds, generally, you're releasing your content week by week or module by module, and you're all moving through this together as a community and engaging around that content. Sometimes you'll have assignments. Sometimes you'll be giving feedback. And again, the more of your time that's involved, the higher the price tag generally is, okay? So it's a hybrid of there's some things they're gonna do on their own and then some things they're gonna do with you or with your supervision. Okay, now here's what you've all been waiting for. The absolute simplest tech ever. If you are not techie at all, you've never done any kind of course at all ever, in your life. This is Peaceful Peggy, and she's another one of our Ducky superheroes, okay? And Peaceful Peggy just says, you know what? Done is better than perfect. Anything worth doing is worth doing poorly until I can do it better. Okay, she's not saying do a bad job. She's saying just get it out there and make a difference. You can tweak as you go. You can make it better the second time around, right? Get it out there and let's start doing something and be okay with that. Okay, done is better than perfect. And so the simplest course, like if you just said tomorrow is my day, this is what you would want to do. You would go to your social media and you would say, post your thing and say, I'm thinking of doing this course. Message me if you're interested. Okay, now thinking is key there because you're not promising anybody anything publicly. If nobody responds, you are not committed to do a course with 0 students in it. Okay, I'm thinking of doing a course on thus and such. If you're interested, private message me, direct DM me, direct message me. Okay, if they respond, then you're like, great, that's awesome. I've got 5 people now who want to do this with me. Here's what I'm thinking. And I'm going to ask that you contribute this much to participate. Okay? And so you could say, you can actually use those words that you would contribute this much to participate. I'm not saying I charge. I'm not saying the price is, okay? Because that sounds like I'm selling. I'm still serving. I'm still wanting to help you make your life better. And so to participate, I'm asking this, and you can give them your PayPal link. Okay, if you don't have PayPal and they're a local friend, you can ask them to bring you a check or cash or whatever, you know. PayPal is really easy to set up and it's free to use and it's online and it's secure. I've been using it for 13 years from Mexico in another country, never had issues, all right? So you give them a PayPal link and tell them how much it's going to be and they go and pay you. And then you can either invite them to the Facebook group where you're going to go and teach your course in that Facebook group. Or if you have email and an email system, then you can pull their email in and you could deliver your course via email, or you could send the email reminders to go visit the Facebook group. Okay? So easy, no software, right? All I need is what I'm doing, how to pay me, and where I'm going to teach it. Super easy. And I bet you probably already have PayPal and email, right? Okay. So next step, Norman, or next step, Ned, decide which format you're going to use and put a date on the calendar. And the cool thing about this kind of course is that you don't have to have that content created in advance. You can just say, hey, we're going to meet every Tuesday for the next 4 weeks, and I'm going to walk you through this process, right? Or whatever that is. And then you just go into the Facebook group and turn on your cell phone and start talking to them. It's super easy. Does anybody have questions about that tonight? You want to type in the chat or you want to ask me a question? I'm going to take a drink here.
Katie, I must have missed it, but how do I join your Facebook group? Because I had to leave last night and I didn't catch anything.
I will type that in the chat right now.
Okay.
But you can also go to coursecreators.club online. Coursecreators.club, and it's going to take you over to the Facebook group.
Course creators, okay.
Yeah. Awesome. I'm sorry, I didn't know you weren't in there already. What if you've already done the simplest course and didn't get any takers? That's a really good question, Julie. Generally, if no one takes me up on my offer, it's a communication problem. Because I know what I have can change their life, but they haven't seen the value in it yet. So I'm not speaking their language, or I'm not using the right words. Somehow I'm not communicating to them the value of what this could do for them or how this could change their life, right? And so I want to go back to the drawing board and I want to say, all right, how else could I say this? What would this how would they describe their life when they got this transformation? And see if you can do that. And sometimes you can also go back and you can ask questions of people that you think would be a good fit for that class and say things like, tell me what your struggle is when it comes to this. What keeps you up at night worrying about X, right? What are the things that hold you back from doing whatever that is? Some of those questions, if you notice, I've been asking in the Facebook group, right? And what does that do? It gives you their language so that then when you come to them and say, hey, I've got the answer to this problem you have, you can use their words back to them. And they're like, how'd you get in my head? Don't tell them I told you how to do that, right? You just ask them. And then you can use those words back, right? I'm worried that people won't pay me for my course. Some of you said that in our course this week. And what did I say? That's none of your business, right? Your business is to do what God's called you to do. Awesome. Kathy says, sometimes we expect that just putting it out there once or twice is enough, but actually people need to see something 7 or 8 times before they see it. That's very true. Several more times before they see it is for them, and several more times before they go and sign up. And that's true. I have spent some time coaching with Jeff Walker with the product launch formula. I don't know if you've seen some of his stuff around. He said he had a guy on his email list, and he cleans his email list like every 6 months religiously, okay? So this guy had been active. He'd opened at least one thing every 6 months for 20 years and never bought from him. And then he finally bought on one of the recent things that Jeff offered, right? And so you just never know how long it takes for some people. And just like we talked about at the beginning of this call with Hope, you can do it all. You just can't do it all in the same season. Like sometimes that's your people. Sometimes they're saying, oh, I need that, but I just can't fit anything else on my plate right now. Or maybe that's not what God's asked me to do in my next step yet, but I know it's coming. And so they stay on your list or they stay in your circle and they're waiting for you to offer it again. And you only had 2 people sign up and you think you're a failure and you move on to the next thing and they're waiting for you to offer it again so they can do what they were supposed to do and you don't do it, right? So that's a good point. You have to, once you get clear in that this is something God has gifted me to do to help people, you've got to keep practicing that gift. You've got to keep practicing that talent. Keep investing in those people God's asking you to do. Keep honing that skill in because there are people who need it, right? And probably one course launch is not going to get them all. Good, good, good. All right. Sherry says, I'm a slow buyer. Hope, what's your question?
Okay. So my question is this. So I just did like a free 30-day challenge. It was a grocery store challenge and I had 25 people sign up, which I was excited about. And so I created all these videos, I created documents, I did all that stuff. And so I already had one lady approach me and say, look, I don't want emails every 3 days. I just want it all. Just package it and offer it. That was kind of a sign to me. I'm like, okay, so I could package all these. But so my question is, so this is what I'm thinking of doing, and just tell me if this makes sense. All the people that went through for free, I'm totally cool on that because what it did was get me off my duff and force me to create all this other stuff. So what I'd like to do is just ask them to provide a testimonial and say, what did you like best about this course? And then use those testimonials on the sales page for the course.
Right. Go back to them and just say, hey, I'm going to offer this again. I know you went through it. You said you loved it. So I need to be able to use those words to show other people the value. So would you just tell me, like, and a good way to do that is like, how were you feeling before you got this product or you got this solution? And how did that change your life afterwards? Or how did you feel afterwards? And sometimes those feeling words rather than how did you like it helps them explain a little bit better, or if in your case, if it's specific to grocery shopping and that sort of thing, like how did it make your grocery shopping easier afterwards? And see if you can put and if you get something back that is not something you feel like you can use, like, oh yeah, I loved it. Okay. So this is another little tip you can do to get those testimonials, because that's important. That social proof is important. A lot of people, so many people are not going to buy until they know that somebody else has done it, right? You could tweak that, and you could say, I loved your, and put the name of the course in, right? It helped me so much. So grateful I did it. And then send it back to her and say, is it okay if I tweak it to say this and use that instead, right? Because what happens is a lot of us like, oh, that was 2 months ago. What am I going to say? And they put it off and they put it off and they don't do it. And when we expect them to come up with something off the top of their head, they're uncomfortable with it, right? But if there was a comment in the Facebook group or a comment on social media somewhere, or if you can get them to say something and it's not exactly what you want, you could edit it and then go back and say, is it okay if I tweak it to say this and use it? And most of the time they're like, oh yeah, sure, I don't care.
Right. So my other question is, they're almost about like a week and a half left on the challenge. And I'm trying to figure out, because you always say like, what's next that you can help them with. So I guess my what next is like if they've realized that their grocery budget is a mess and maybe the rest of their finances are a mess, then I'm going to pitch them on my yearly finance planner. But so, yeah, like, it feels weird because like, I don't want to say, oh, buy my yearly finance planner. By the way, tell me what you really liked about what I just did.
Right.
There should be like separate emails, right?
You can be seeding already that you have a yearly finance planner, right? So you can be mentioning that in different things as you're teaching or as you're sending these emails. Mention it, seeding that idea that there is something next, right? If somebody sends you a response to an email, or if there's a Facebook group already, and you can use some of those instead of having to go and ask specifically for a recommendation, or if there's a student who is particularly involved or something like that, just ask them instead of putting out a blanket, please send me your testimonial, right? Out of 25 people, you're only going to have 2 or 3 who would probably have the initiative to do it on their own anyway, and people will feel special if you ask them specifically. So I would reach out rather than just sending a blanket invitation. But then when they get to the end, again, you want to think in terms of transformation. What is that? Now they've got their grocery budget figured out. What's the next problem that they have? And how can you help them find a solution? Okay. So this calmed down a certain anxiety area in my life in terms of food budget, but I still have bills to pay. Okay. And so that's still hanging heavy over on this side of my brain. I need somebody to give me some hope that this could be handled as well. And that's where you come in, right? And you're not pitching them, you're offering them help to find a solution to this anxiety and this pain revolving around the other finances in their life. Make sense? The psychology of the wording is so important when you're talking about serving, because people expect to be pitched and they expect to be sold to. All right. And you totally knock them off guard when you come in and say, how can I help? What are you struggling with here? Like, let's figure this out together. And when you can come in a way that is completely vulnerable and transparent in that way, like, I don't care if you buy this or not, but if you got this problem, how can I help? What's the next step, right? And then if that's my product, great. And if it's somebody else's product, awesome. And if I give you enough value for free that you can go and do this on your own, woohoo! We got more people helping more people, right? And that's where I'm coming from with this. And that's what I have found gets the best results, no matter if you're talking to believers or unbelievers, right? No matter what niche, if you're training dogs or if you're training kids or if you're in finance or if you're like, it doesn't matter who you're serving. When that service comes, the heart of service is more important than the money I could make off of you. When that really, really, really comes through, then people are much more receptive. And some will buy and some will not. And that's okay, because I'm not in charge of the results. Right? It's my job to offer the dessert. It's up to them if they want to take it. Awesome. Okay, who's got another question? Anything regarding the challenge or the DIY or the do it with you that we went over? Why don't you type in the chat if you kind of have an idea of what type of format your course would take. Type it in the chat for us and let us know. Who's our challenge people? Challenge, DIY, or do it with you, DIWY? What are you thinking?
Katie, is it possible to do like a challenge leading into a DIY or into a DIWY and let it all kind of be the funnel that we're taking them through?
Yes, it is. Good. I see challenge and DIY and do it with you. Good, 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 good. A lot of people are using challenges now as a product in itself, but also as a way to bring people in deeper, right? And usually a challenge, like we said, the challenge usually has to do with quick wins, those easy steps, right? That are broken down really small and doable. That's the big thing with challenges, is make this doable, make it easy for me. That once they get that problem solved, then they realize they've got their next level problem. And if it took your help to get me this far, I really need your help for the next step, right? And so that's where you can take them into a do it with you course, which in some ways, these big premium courses are essentially a challenge, right? It's weekly maybe instead of daily, where you've got more time in between to get stuff done. But it's essentially a do it with you challenge that is taking them step by step through that process. It's just a bigger process or a longer period of time. Yeah. Hope says, are there different types of formats which would appeal to different learning styles? Visual, concrete, sequential. I know sometimes I need to appeal to other types of learners. Yeah, and we have a whole, I don't know how many lessons in the course talking about learning styles, because that's something that I teach even with my homeschool parents, right? You have some people who are better visually, and so you have to have those videos. And like if it's a how-to, you really need to have each picture for each step in the process, or a video that takes them slowly through actually doing it, or a diagram or something, right? If they're audible, then having the audio of the video is really important. And it's really easy nowadays to be able to take a video and upload it to a tech thing and just save it as an audio file instead of a video file, so that people could download that to their phone and listen to your lesson instead of watching the video. We talked last night about people who are hearing impaired and they need the subtitles or the transcripts, right? And people like me who tend to be visual, sometimes the visual of the video is way too distracting. And if I'm watching a video, I can't be doing anything else. I can't multitask while I'm watching. But if I'm listening, I can multitask, right? But it's faster for me to read than it is to watch a video or listen to an audio. And so depending on your people, you want to try to cover as many of those bases as you can, because you don't know who you're serving, right? And then if you can't cover all of those bases for some reason or another, then just realize that I'm doing the absolute best I can with what God has put in my hand. And I've got to trust that if there's somebody that this is not right for, that he's going to provide another teacher who has that ability to teach them the way they're going to learn. Right. And this is why I'm so big on collaboration inside of our space too. It really, really, really gets on my nerves when people who serve the same people are not willing to work together, are not willing to recognize that they have differences, but that they serve the same people. Because there are tons and tons of other people out there who know how to put together courses and curriculum, right? And I recognize that not everyone's going to resonate with my teaching style. Not everyone's going to resonate with the way that I explain things, or the way that I do my printables or something like that, right? They're going to resonate better with somebody else. And so if I refuse to have anything to do with that teacher because she teaches the same thing I do, I'm doing my students a disservice. I'm doing the people that we serve a disservice, because if you can't learn from me, then here, let me help you find somebody who can help you, right? That should be the heart in this. And I know that so-and-so also teaches this, and so-and-so also, you know, Stu McLaren's got a course on memberships, and Jeff Walker teaches a little bit of course creation and product launch formula, and Amy Porterfield teaches courses, right? And everybody has their own style. And so if you can't learn from me, I don't want you to just not learn. Let me go point you to somebody who can help. And so that's really important in recognizing to some extent what style it is so that you can help people make a good decision about it. But then if you've got like a 30-day refund policy or a 15-day refund policy or something like that, very rarely are those things used. It's a good idea because it makes people feel more confident in their purchase, right? And in taking that step and putting faith out and taking action. But very, very rarely is it used. In the case that it is used and somebody's like, this is just not for me or something like that, then you can say, okay, I'm sorry it wasn't a good fit. I don't hold it against you at all. Here's your refund. We can still be friends. But if you still want to learn about this, here's my affiliate link for Amy. She's also got a course that teaches you how to do this. Go see if you can learn from her, right? And so then I'm supporting the other people in my group instead of causing division. And I'm still helping to serve the people that we both serve. Does that make sense? Okay, so to the extent that you can serve all learning styles, do it as much as you can. If you can't, you don't have the tech, you don't have the know-how, whatever, don't lose sleep over it, but look for somebody in your circles who does teach that way that you could point people to in the case that you're not a good fit for them. Make sense? Awesome. Okay, looking back through, if you got a question, you can unmute. I'm looking back through the chat right now. Brenda says, I did the challenge, then I offered the full course. Do it with you. Yep. Emmy says, I love the simplest course setup, how easy it is to take a Facebook Live teaching from a group and move it if you decide to set something up more permanent later on Teachable. That's a good point. Okay, so there is, Facebook changes things all the time. But as of last night, if you do a Facebook Live video in a Facebook group, you can, if you are the creator of that video, and I think you also have to own the group, I'm not sure, you can go in and under the settings somewhere, there is a download button, and they move it around and it's difficult to find, but you should be able to download that off of the Facebook group. Now, I also just realized, because I've got some students who have uploaded like testimonial type videos into a Facebook group, and I want to be able to use some of that in case study videos and stuff like that. But they did it, so I don't have a download button on their video. And I just found out there's an app called Friendly that's like a cell phone app. And apparently, I haven't tried it out yet. I just found out this afternoon, but apparently if you use that Friendly app, you can download anybody's video from anywhere on Facebook. So one of those two ways, but if you know you're gonna wanna keep it for later, I would definitely either do it in Zoom like we're doing and stream it into the Facebook group so that your Zoom keeps the recording, or option number 2, download it from Facebook as soon as you're done so you know you've got it. You don't have to go find it again in 2 years, right? Or use an app or something like that to download it easy. But yeah, that's
how do you do Zoom into Facebook then?
In the settings for your Zoom account, when you open, like it's my profile and then there's settings or whatever, there's something that says, Kathy, what does it say? We just went through this in a class earlier today. It says something about streaming live or allow live streaming or something like that. And then you just tick the little Facebook box. And so then when you open up your Zoom call, like I did tonight, down at the bottom where the chat and the participants and all of that is, there's a button that says more. And when you click that button, it lets you choose where to stream on Facebook, to your personal page, to your business page, to your group, whatever. And I don't think mine's still spinning from when I started the call tonight. So I don't think it worked tonight. Last night it worked. Tonight I'm gonna have to get the recording and post it into the group for people. But Last night it let us stream live.
If nobody is yeah, if nobody is there watching right at that moment, it doesn't always do it there.
Okay. Okay. All right. I'm looking in the chat for more. Patricia says, I recently discovered Speed Gear on YouTube. You can play at 1.5, listening faster. Yes, it makes your videos consumption more. So there's a little wheel on YouTube at the bottom of the video, and you can adjust the speed that the video plays. I'll never forget when I first bought Product Launch Formula, and I went through the class, I listened to him talk on those video recordings at like 1.5 speed. And so when I actually met him in real life and heard him talk on stage, it was so funny because his voice sounded completely different than what I was used to hearing Jeff in my head from all of those videos. But it does help you move through stuff quicker. All right. Is it better to keep videos housed on YouTube at the private settings so when you send students a link, they can watch it? Okay, this is a little bit controversial, all right? YouTube, because it's a free channel, okay, we're using it for free, they essentially have the rights to do whatever they want to with our content. And with the recent changes and things happening and more people using internet and blah, 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 I've actually gotten multiple messages saying, be aware, some of your content could accidentally go missing as we try to keep up with the internet demand. Okay, but they're also censoring lots of people's videos, and some videos have gone missing unexplainably, and you can't get through to anyone, and you can't ever get them back. And so I would recommend that you keep them on an external hard drive file in your computer, or that you create a Dropbox, because Dropbox is an account that you pay for monthly, right? So it's not just a free service. Most of these free services are fun, but you don't control what they do, and you have no recourse if they decide to do something to your stuff. So with Dropbox, it's like you pay to have so much space to store things, right? It's like a digital mini storage unit, basically. And I know Brenda's brain just twisted right there because we're not supposed to pay for extra storage when we can get rid of things. But in this case, online, your digital videos and things, it is good to have a backup somewhere, especially if it's a course like this. Now, the other thing is like a Vimeo account. That's a paid account. And so you could pay to host your courses on Vimeo, or Wistia or Wisteria, I think, is another one. You could put them in a Google Drive, but again, that's Google. It's the same as YouTube. And so if that gets full, or if something goes quirky, like that could come up missing too, you don't know. So I would potentially have a backup on it. Now, if you're on Teachable and some of those platforms, you can either pull it in from YouTube or somewhere like that, and they'll pull the video in for you, or you can upload it directly from your computer to the platform, and they host it on the platform for you. And so, but there again, if there's ever a glitch and you lose that, you'll have to create it new if you don't have it saved somewhere. So that's why I say be careful. Be careful. Now, if you're trying to do the quick and easy, like let's just get it out there and take action. The easiest way is, yes, do a video on your phone and send it to your free YouTube account, and send people the link for the unlisted video. So then it's not public. People can't find it if they Google when it's unlisted. But if you send a link to somebody, whoever has that link can go and see that video. Okay, so then you could send an email and say, hey, I just did lesson number 1, click this link. And they go to YouTube and watch that. Does that make sense? Store, my husband is drilling in the other room.
Hey, Hope. Give me a thumbs up. Are you in the Facebook group so I can answer your question? I'll answer you over there, because for me to type it.
Yes, I am, Brenda.
Or into a Dropbox file. Yep. Amazon also has a paid file storage, but it's a little complicated. and technical. Right. Kay, I saw Kay make a face. Did you have a suggestion there?
No, I've only used their photo storage. I used to keep a lot of, in fact, I was going through it last night. I spent hours on it last night finding things, and I don't know, things keep moving around on me, and yeah, I'm not happy. So.
Right. We use Amazon storage for some of our printable or ebooks and things with our Spanish business. So if somebody buys it, it pulls that file from there and sends it to them, but it can be complicated. So I don't usually recommend it. Stephen has a question. Are there any advantages to directing your social presence into a business profile on Facebook rather than a personal profile? Yes. Okay, that's a super good question, Stephen. Technically, it is against Facebook's terms of service, terms of use, for you to do business on your personal page. Okay. Now, if I had to go and find what line in their terms of service said that, I'm not sure I can put my finger on it in 2 weeks. But that's what I've heard, and I would not be surprised at all that it's buried in there somewhere, right? So it's generally best practice if you're going to do business to have a business page. Now, there's also a really good business reason to do that, because when I post a video on my personal page, I can't check who sees it. Okay, I can tell how many people, like total number, but I have no way to reach those people again. If I post a video to my business Facebook page, I can't tell specifically who those people are, but Facebook tracks it. And I can create an audience of all the people who have viewed my videos in the last 2 weeks. And then I could pay Facebook to push out my next video specifically to those people who I already know are video watchers, right? And so once you get into ads and trying to retarget your message to specific people, it makes a whole lot of sense to have that business page, because Facebook tracks everybody who's watching and engaging with that page, so that you could pay Facebook to get more stuff in front of them. Does that make sense? So if you do a video, sometimes even when I do something funny that I know is gonna like get tons and tons of responses, I'll stop myself and go post it on my business page first, and then share it to my personal wall, so that then whoever engages.
I don't know if she knows she just cut out.
Katie, love, you're frozen.
It's a great smile, though.
Mommy, color choice, blue or green? Oh, can you hear me now? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. All right, sorry about that. Computer glitch. Anybody else have a question?
Do you have, as you can see behind me, I am not the video person, but I'm going to sit through this and watch it anyway. I am a book person or written things. Do you have any of this in written form that because I will never remember this stuff just watching a video.
Yes, so remember I told you it's best to try to accommodate all the learning styles. In our Successful Online Courses program, if any video is more than a minute long, we provide the transcript for the video. So you can read it right there, or you can download it and print it or whatever. If it's just a minute, like if it's a quick little do this or go here or check in, or then I don't do that. But if it's longer than a minute, we do provide the transcripts.
Excellent.
And funny story about that. There are really, really cheap ways to do that now. But when I, last year, when I was doing the transcripts, I ended up paying, I don't remember, I was like $150 to get all of those transcripts done for the videos for this course. And the very next week after I finished this project, that video service came out with a cheaper service. It was only like 10 cents a minute instead of $1 a minute.
Of course.
So things are always progressing, but we also have, there's a really cool thing called Searchy. And Searchy, I have uploaded all of my videos into a library in Searchy, and then it gives me something that I can plug into my course so that you guys can type in any word that you remember from what we talked about, and it will take you straight to the spot in that video where I mentioned that word. And you can play from there, right? So we also have Searchy inside of the Successful Online Courses program, so that, because sometimes, you know, you're like, oh man, what did she say about that? I don't remember where it was, and I don't want to have to go back through 10 video, you know? And so this helps because you can just type it in and it'll tell you exactly which video it was and take you right to that spot.
That works.
Is that free or no?
No, Searchy is, I pay monthly to use it, and then I have a certain amount that I can upload each month or whatever. But I've got all of our course materials from Successful Online Courses are in there. And so it's searchable for the people who are in the course. And then I also use it on my podcast page. If you want to see how it works, go over to foryoursuccesspodcast.com, and I'll type it in here. foryoursuccesspodcast.com, and there's a link there where you can search, and it'll show you how it works, because I've got all of my podcast episodes in a Searchy library too, so you can search back through those audios. Awesome.
But Hope, when you're in the course and you need to use it, it is free to you in Katie's course when you're in the course searching for it. It's not an extra fee.
You can use it also, like if you wanted to do something like this for your people inside of a Facebook group, right? Like you could take all of your Q&As or all of your lessons from the Facebook group, and you could download the video and input them into your Searchy account so that you can have a library of whatever happened inside that Facebook group. And your Facebook group people can search through all, instead of having to scroll through the Facebook feed in the group or try to find that video or whatever. So there's lots of different ways that you can use it. The Patriots one I think is next. Sorry. Kid question. Here, come say hi. This is my. All right. Anybody else have a question? Challenge, DIY, do it with you. Does it seem more doable? Yes? Okay. Danita's scowling. I'm not sure if that's a no or a. Okay. Yeah. I want you to see how doable this is. And when God says he gives us everything that is necessary for life and godliness, that includes these kind of resources. That includes the people who have the know-how to help you take these next steps, right? And you guys have, hopefully you've made some new friends in here. Hopefully you've grown your mindset a little bit around what is possible. But if this is possible for you and you can make that kind of impact, think about how the people you can speak life to can make impact. Because like we said last night, we don't want to just stop the ripples, right? A calm sea doesn't get you anywhere. You need those ripples to keep going out, right? To keep moving things along. And if you stop, then there's nobody to push the boat that comes behind you. We got to keep those ripples moving. And when you do your spot, when you do your job, when you give what you've been given to give, then it empowers other people to be complete and take their next step and do what they were given to give. And the kingdom just keeps growing and impacting more and more people. And so that's an amazing thing to be a part of. It's an amazing thing to see. Tomorrow's class, oh, and I just realized we've gone over and I didn't even look at the time. But in tomorrow's class, we're going to talk about the single most effective way to sell your online course. Okay, and there's actually two really effective ways. There's one really effective way if you don't have your course put together at all to make sales, okay, and to start getting it out there. And I'm going to talk about that tomorrow night. And then I'm going to talk about if you have a course and you have people in your course the first time through or the second time through, what's the most effective way to keep that course selling? Okay, so those two things we're going to talk about tomorrow night. And I'm super glad that you've been here. I'll have the replay up as soon as I can get it. I've been having some internet issues that have been holding things slower than normal, but I'll get this out as soon as I can and get that replay to you as well. If you know more people who need this, invite them to join. It's not too late to watch those classes and get that help. And we'll be back tomorrow night and talking about the best way to be sure that that course sells. Okay? Awesome. All right. God bless you guys. Have a great night. Have a great day if you're in New Zealand. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
You're welcome.